Welcome to the deep dive.
Oh,
This is where we take material you send us, unpack it, and, well, pull out the key insights for you.
yep, get you right to the core of it fast. We sift through it so you get the main points.
Okay, so today we're digging into a speech by Napoleon Hill. A listener sent this in, highlighting the main idea, and it definitely got us thinking.
It really did. The central theme from Hill here is this quite powerful idea that repeating things mentally every single day can actually reprogram your thinking and build that winning mindset.
Exactly. And it's not about, just a quick motivational boost that fades. Hill's argument is that this kind of steady mental work can genuinely change who you are, build real discipline, and sharpen your vision. So let's explore how he says this works using his concepts and the examples he brings up.
All right, so Hill really hammers home the importance of repetition, especially, he says, doing it first thing in the morning. His idea is that just after you wake up, your subconscious is particularly receptive.
He uses that analogy, what was it, wet cement, which is quite vivid, right? Like your mind is ready to take an impression.
It's a great image. And what's interesting is he's not just talking about, chanting affirmations without feeling. He calls it autosuggestion. And it works because you combine that steady repetition with real emotionalized belief. It's about consciously, deliberately installing a kind of new identity.
You're reinforcing those desired thoughts again and again. Neuroscience kind of backs this up too, doesn't it? The idea that repeated thoughts strengthen neural pathways.
Absolutely. Hill was tapping into that idea. You're intentionally building up those mental tracks you want through autosuggestion.
And he uses some pretty big historical figures to make his case. Henry Ford, for instance.
Right. Ford, based on Hill's account anyway, had this incredibly strong belief in himself. He apparently repeated this conviction constantly. You know that famous line, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right.
Hill suggested constant mental repetition was really part of Ford's success formula.
Yeah, a key part. Then you got someone like Thomas Edison. Think about light bulb struggles.
Thousands of failures, right?
Exactly. But Hill's point is, Edison already saw the success in his mind, way before the bulb actually worked. He just held on to that belief, that vision, despite all the setbacks. The repetition wasn't just in the lab, it was in his mental conviction.
And Andrew Carnegie, the steel magnate.
With Carnegie, Hill notes it wasn't just about output. He really pushed for mental clarity. He wanted his leaders to actually study their own thinking, that focus on deliberate thought, mental discipline, that was core for him.
So this daily practice, it's not just a mood booster. It's like you're building something inside your head. Hill calls it mental armor.
That's a good way to think about it, like building up resistance to, say, negative self-talk or, what other people might say. If you keep reinforcing your belief, those doubts just don't penetrate as easily.
You can see how that would apply to Ford, Edison, Carnegie. That focus probably shielded them.
It likely did. It let them push through things that would stop most people.
And Hill stresses this is an active thing. You're rewiring your mind consciously. It's not magic. It takes, work.
Which leads to a crucial point for anyone listening. Hill basically says, look, you're not fundamentally lazy or broken. Your current mindset, it's likely a product of your environment, your conditioning.
Well, you can change that.
Exactly. This daily mental training is presented as a way to grab the reins, train your mind to lead based on your goals, not just how you happen to feel moment to moment.
Okay, so what are the key qualities Hill thinks we should be sort of installing with this repetition? He lists quite a few. Starts with relentless self-belief, like Ford.
Yeah, so you actively affirm your own belief, your own ability, even when things look tough. Then there's definiteness of purpose. Think Carnegie wanting clarity.
Meaning you affirm your specific goals, keep them sharp, cut out the noise.
Right. Psychologically, that focus helps you spot opportunities and keeps you motivated. Then controlled emotion. He points to Charles Schwab. It's about acting intentionally, not just on impulse.
So you'd affirm your composure, your ability to manage your reactions.
Precisely. And interestingly, he talks about an obsession with repetition itself, like Edison's sheer dedication. So affirm the value of that daily grind, the power of repeating your conviction.
Then, execution over excuses. The people he studied were doers.
They didn't wait for perfect. So the affirmation is about committing to act, regardless of how you feel. And linked to that is faith through action. Belief needs proof.
Your actions have to back up your words. So affirm that you're actively doing the things that move you towards your vision.
Definitely. Then endurance under pressure, resilience. Those historical figures weathered storms because of their mental conditioning. So affirm your own ability to handle pressure, maybe even thrive on it.
Ruthless focus feels incredibly relevant now with all the distractions.
Totally. Protecting your attention like Carnegie, Ford, Schwab did. Affirm your commitment to focusing on what's truly important.
Taking personal ownership is another big one. They didn't blame others.
No, they took responsibility. So you affirm that you own your life, your results, your future.
And finally, strategic silence. Building things quietly without needing constant applause.
Yeah, like Edison, Ford, Carnegie often did. Focus on the work, let the results talk. Affirm your commitment to that kind of deep work.
So these aren't just nice ideas. Hill ties them to what these successful people actually did and how they thought. Now, how do we actively build this? He talks a lot about I am statements.
Right, and the power there, he says, is that every time you say I am, followed by what you want to be, you're literally building that future identity. It's a shift, from describing how you were to creating who you're becoming.
But it needs feeling, right? Not just rote repetition.
Absolutely. He stresses that. It needs emotion, intention, and that consistent repetition. He gives examples like, I am disciplined, I am focused, I am dangerous when locked in. You have to sort of feel it.
And underlying all this, he keeps coming back to that core idea, definiteness of purpose.
He sees that as the absolute bedrock. Everything else builds on knowing with clarity what you're aiming for. Your identity, in his view, isn't fixed. It's something you choose.
It's a challenge, really, to decide to become someone with that kind of single-minded focus.
Yeah.
To design yourself.
And that choice often leads to what Hill calls the war within. That internal struggle between the old you, the habits, the fears, and the new you that you're trying to build.
He says when you hesitate or slip back into old ways, you're actually strengthening that old identity. It's like your brain's default operating system is based on limitations.
Mm-hmm. And Hill is pretty blunt about it, that old system. It needs to go. He uses that phrase, burn the ships.
No retreat, no fallback, commit fully.
That's the idea. Cut off the escape route to the old way of being.
Okay, so practically speaking, how does this look day to day? Hill emphasizes ritual. Consistent ritual, not waiting for lightning to strike.
Yeah, he suggests a specific morning routine, just 10 minutes. Focused mental command time before the world rushes in.
Protecting that initial part of the day.
Exactly. Find a quiet spot, maybe take a few breaths, get centered, and then speak your identity out loud. Affirmations like, I do what I say I will do, or whatever fits your goal.
And the key is just doing it. Every day.
Consistency is everything. That repetition is the programming. It strengthens those mental loops. He brings up Edison again, that relentless belief despite failure after failure that came from reinforcement.
It really is about taking control, isn't it? A kind of daily rebellion against just accepting who you've been told you are or who you've drifted into being. You're installing your own program.
Well put. Now, Hill kind of boils this down into 3 main rules or commandments for this reprogramming. First one. Guard your input.
Be careful what you let into your mind.
Exactly. Filter out the negativity, the stuff that undermines your vision. Focus on things that support it. It echoes Carnegie wanting his people to study their own thinking, manage what goes in.
Okay, commandment 2.
Repeat power. Basically, your subconscious listens to repetition, whether you fully believe it at first or not. Think of Ford repeating his belief. You just keep repeating those powerful statements until they start to feel like you.
Until they become your identity. And the third one.
Align with action. Words aren't enough. Your habits, your choices, they have to match the identity you're affirming. You need to actually live it through effort.
Makes sense. The thoughts and the actions have to line up.
So that deep rewiring Hill talks about, it happens through that focused repetition combined with clear intention. He's showing how people like Edison, Ford, Carnegie use this very principle, consistent mental discipline.
And the message is really that you are actively becoming this desired self as you do this daily work, the old version of you. It only has the power you give it.
Right. So he urges that consistent daily practice. It's not a quick fix. It's an ongoing process of shaping yourself.
If this deep dive into Napoleon Hill and reshaping your mindset is resonating with you, if you're finding this useful and want more tools for growth, well, we'd really appreciate it if you subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's where we share more in-depth stuff like this regularly.
Absolutely. As we've been saying, making these changes stick takes that kind of ongoing focus and reinforcement. Subscribing is a good way to keep these ideas front of mind.
Okay, so let's wrap this up. Our look at Napoleon Hill's speech today really highlights just how much impact consistent, deliberate mental repetition can have on who you become and what you achieve.
Yeah, the big takeaways are your mind can be reprogrammed. Autosuggestion repetition plus belief is the tool. You've got to define the qualities you want, affirm them consistently, and crucially, make sure your actions align with those thoughts.
So maybe something to think about as you go about your day is this. What's one specific thought pattern you have right now that you could start to consciously reprogram using this daily repetition?
And maybe what's one small action you could take, like today, that lines up with the identity you want to build? It's about that steady accumulation, that consistent discipline, building who you want to be, one thought, one repetition at a time.